DeAnna, happy Wednesday.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Staying very busy. Excited to chat with you. The title challenger, big spot to be in.
Oh, hey. I'm so excited.
I'm sure, understandable. And I mean, on top of that, I mean, a free trip to Hawaii. That's fun.
I mean, like I said, oh no, don't send me to Hawaii. This is terrible. I guess if I have to, I will go.
Right. Are you going to try and stay a little bit extra or just kind of see how it goes at first?
I'm playing it by ear. My plans are definitely, stay extra. Gotta enjoy the time. I'm not sure what I might just end up living in a van on the
Right.
beach in Hawaii. Um, we'll kind of see. My main focus is the Friday the
Yes.
21st, and then from there we figure it out. So sorry,
No,
just
all
so you know,
good.
Sarah Carter will be in the interview, whether it's just running
All
through
right.
or I'll try and keep her contained. But she's used to being
She's
the center of the
welcome.
town, so yeah, she's
Did you
just
say
gonna
Sarah
fit in.
Connor? That's her name?
Yeah, this is Sarah Connor.
Okay. How did you decide on Terminator here?
I needed a strong female name, and I couldn't think of a better strong female name than the mother of John Connor.
I
Like,
mean,
come on,
seriously. Yeah, no kidding.
like what else? Linda Hamilton? Come on now, that's the one. So,
I love it. I love it. What's your
well,
favorite? What's your favorite one in the series? I got to ask you now.
it's got to be T2.
Hard
Um,
to beat.
it really is, and part of it was actually filmed in my hometown in California, in
Okay.
Fremont. So, I mean, got
There
to
you
go with
go.
that one.
Yeah,
So,
got all the
classics.
tie-ins.
I know, right? That's the one.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a very exciting opportunity for you to have Deanna. I know something you've been wanting for a good while now, and a rematch too with Liz, who was your Bellator debut. I mean, I just how have you been impressed with her since you guys fought, and like, what are you expecting out of her in a rematch now? Different from the first time, there's always changes to be made for both of you guys, but just how exciting is the fight, and getting to always fun to try and avenge a loss, right?
Absolutely. I knew I would see her again after the first time when we got out of the cage. Given the circumstances of the ending, like I knew I was going to see her again, and I I've been saying it since that moment because I knew she was going to win the title, and I knew I was going to win my fights and work my way up to get that title shot, and that she was going to be the title holder when I got there. And look, it just so happened to be right.
Yeah.
So I was right all the time, but I was right about this one just because I was going to make it happen one way or another. I was going to work my way there, and I hoped that she was the one on the top. And I've watched all of her most recent fights, but that's just because I'm part of the Bellator flyweight
Yeah.
division, and so when they have a flyweight fight, I number one, I just like to watch good fights, and I love the sport of MMA, and I love watching it, and so I always tune in, and especially when there's somebody in my division, because it's like, okay, well, these are my peers, so we'll see what's out there. And so I've watched them, and I physically was at her last fight. It was at the Mohegan Sun. So me and my cat Sarah Connor and my friend, we moseyed on up to Connecticut and watched it. And she came out there and she made it her mission to not let that go all 5 rounds. She wanted that finish from the second that she got into that cage, and I honestly love the energy with that, and I hope that she brings the same energy when we're in the cage next week. Um, but I just, I have been watching her for a while. I've been working myself to be the best fighter that I can be to get in the cage with her, and so I know she's going to be tough. She's a tough fighter, hands down. Like, she's been doing this for a while. That's just how she is, and I'm excited to put my best version of myself out there. I don't believe it was the best version of myself that was in the cage with her the first time. I do feel like, I don't know if you check out the scorecards, but if you can
Oh, you
go
were
back and
doing
check out
very
the
good in the fight. Yeah, I thought it was still a strong performance up until the end, obviously for you. But
to the end.
yeah,
But stupid hamstring, how dare you not stay attached? The worst.
yeah,
But stuff happens like that. You have to be able to roll with it. And unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about it. My hips wouldn't move. And so she was able to get the choke. And, it just wasn't meant to be at that point in time. She got the better in the end. She had an opportunity and she took it, and it worked out for her. And so I have thought about that for almost 3 years now, 2.5 years since we were in the cage last time. And so I'm coming to be a better version of myself and to finish the fight on my terms this time.
Of course, of course. And like, do you have any specific big takeaways from the first encounter with her?
Um, Honestly, the biggest thing for me was I don't even want to say I don't want to say I underestimated her.
Hmm.
I feel like I almost underestimated myself
Okay.
going into that fight because like you think about it, and I've been in the sport for a long time. I've gone against really tough people, but she was part of the first female fight in the
Hmm.
UFC. She was part of the first fight in New York when they had that. She's a
Yep.
name that's been around for a while. She's been in the Strike Force. Like she's been around in the sport and people know who she is. Me, little old awkward me, not
Vitamin
necessarily
D.
everybody knows who I am. So they're gonna know me after this fight. If they don't know me yet, they're gonna know me now, which is actually a little weird to me. I'm okay with being flying under the radar
Right.
just because awkward, and I don't want the world to actually know how awkward I am. But I let that kind of play into my head when I got into that fight, and so I kind of overestimated her and underestimated myself. And so I was a little hesitant in situations that I normally wouldn't be.
Mm.
And that was my biggest takeaway because I got in there and I started going, and especially in that second round of the fight, I was like you're an equal. Like, and by that I mean I have the skills to win this fight
Mm.
just like she has the skills to win this fight. Like it's not like a landslide, like you're in there just as like a soup can or whatever they call them these
Yeah.
days. Like that's not me. I have the skills to beat her and to come out. And so why would you ever underestimate yourself in that situation? And so I I've held that dear for the last couple of years, and it's going to be different this time with that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, very much looking forward to it, Deanna. And I spoke to Liz yesterday too ahead of this, and she said that when she was offered you to her the rematch with you, that she was a little bit concerned about weight stuff because of the first fight. And I just got to bring it up to you and ask like what your response is to that, and like why you can assure us that it won't obviously hasn't happened since then, but something that she and I'm sure some other people are like, oh, Deanna, she missed weight the first time. It could happen again. Title fight, though. I mean, don't want to do it, obviously, there.
Obviously not. Well, I my last two fights, no issue whatsoever. What was the weigh-in for my last fight? 125.1. Like it was basically
Right.
championship weight. Like if I would have used I call it the cone of shame. If I would have used the cone of shame in that one, I would have been on championship weight. And it's a lifestyle change, and obviously not making any
Mm.
excuses. Like 2020 was a weird year. Like
Yes, it
period.
was.
I think everyone can attest to that. 2020 was a weird year. Things like got out of whack, and I should have been in better control of everything. And I hate being that person that doesn't make weight. I don't want to be that person. I want to be professional. I want to come in there and I want to do my job and do everything to a T. And I that's why I can't be mad of anyone bringing up those situations, because it's like, okay, well, it was me.
Yeah.
I made those mistakes and I was the person in there. The only thing that I can do is just show up, be professional, and make weight, and never let it happen again. And so that's been my goal. I work with a nutritionist, Jackie Kaminsky. I have everything settled down. I walk around much lighter than I used to, and I don't ever want to take it otherwise. Like outside of fight camp, I'm not out there like partying it up, eating crazy
Patty
things.
Pimblett style.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. It's gonna catch up
Yeah,
to him
seriously.
eventually. Like not good at
Yeah.
all. But you know, I want this title. I want to be the best fighter I can be, and so I my whole life is centered around that. And so they can say what they want. It happened in the past. It's been a few years since then. I'm gonna make sure from here on out it never happens again. And so, we're good. Everything's on point. You say I don't think I look fat right
No, you
now,
look
so
great.
yeah, I work out. But yeah, I mean, like I understand the criticism, but that's not the person who I am anymore. That's one of those things that I take. You talk about things I take away from that fight. That's
Mm,
one of those things, and it's not the person I want to be, and it's not what I'm going to do.
yeah, love to hear it. And I want to hit you with a fun fact here, Deanna, in case you are aware of this or not. But no stranger to rematches. You are not. But you've never lost to the same person twice. Do you know? Have you realized this?
I have not. I like that.
Yeah. So is that a little bit of a confidence booster at all?
A little bit. So I was already a little confident. And now we're doing good. Now we're all the little nerves where I'm like, well, what if? I'm like,
Yeah. Hey,
all
there
right,
we
well,
go.
I like this. I needed this today because
Yeah,
it's been a roller coaster of emotions. Not gonna lie.
I'm
Anyone
sure.
who says they're not nervous,
Oh,
like
yeah.
anyone after I talk to them and they're like, I'm like, oh, how are you feeling for your fight? And they're like, oh, I'm good, no nerves
Yeah.
whatsoever. And I was like, either you're a liar or you are not ready for this fight. So
Yeah. Or you're a robot. There's a lot of AI going around these days. Who knows?
yeah, that too. You never know.
Yeah, seriously.
Real, I don't
Yeah.
know.
But I like that you mentioned the nerves though, because I wanted to ask you, like, going back to your first title shot in your career against Livia Hinata Souza and Invicta. Obviously, a lot of different circumstances, different person, different fighter than you are now. But like, is there anything that you could have taken away from that first experience in a title fight to help prepare you for this one? Obviously, it was a while ago, like I said, but
Yeah.
thought of anything? I mean, 5 rounds too. That's something. But you tell me.
Um, Honestly, one of the biggest takeaways that I had from that fight was just surrounding myself with good positive people and keeping. I always joke and I'm like, we need some PMA, or we need a positive mental attitude.
Okay.
And going into that fight, it was a weird time. My ex boyfriend at the time, like a week out from the fight, and he was in my corner, and he's like, I don't even want to go to your fight. This is stupid. I want nothing to do with fighting anymore. I hate the fact that I have to go. And it's like, all right,
Just what
just
I needed.
fight for. Yeah, I'm like fighting for a title in a week, but cool. Thanks, bro. I'm
Jeez.
so glad to hear your thoughts on that.
Right.
Um, and so that's something where I'm like, I try and the people that I keep around me, I want to keep positive people and good people. Like, it's a huge, huge, huge difference in when you do that and cut out the negativity and everything. And so, um, that would probably be the biggest thing between then and here. And then also just kind of taking every moment that you can and just kind of like I I just not saying that I'm coming close to the end of my career, whatever. I'm enjoying myself. I'm here to
Hmm.
fight. I'm not gonna say the R word.
Right.
But like there will be a time where it comes, and I wanna look back fondly on these experiences. Like I already do. Like I love the life that I live. I love being able to get into that cage. I love getting up and training instead of putting on a pantsuit and
Hmm.
hating my life and hating my coworkers and wanted to push them down the stairs. Not that I would ever do that.
Right. Allegedly. Hypothetical.
Hypothetical, total hypothetical. There's a little asterisk next to that.
Yes.
Hypothetically, I don't want to be that person.
Right.
It doesn't help when I make this look.
No,
I don't like that
that's
one
that's
right
not
there.
me.
Let's go back. Let's sit like this, like a normal
Right.
human being. And like I want to be like, this one time I fought for the title, and I want to remember everything fondly. Like, not everybody gets these experiences. Honestly, have trained at a few different gyms with a lot of different people, a lot of talented fighters, and there's a lot of people who could have been champion, but they fell off. They stopped training hard. They a million different reasons. They got married. They got a boyfriend. They got a girlfriend. They like let other things get in the way of that. And it's like and to each their own. If that's the path that they want to take, that's cool. But it's like I don't ever want to live my life and just say like, oh, well, I could have been this if I would have done this. Maybe I would have been able to fight for a championship. I'm like, no, I'm getting to live the life that I love every single day, and I'm happy for the opportunity, and just trying to take that in and not take anything for granted, really.
Well, with all that in mind, DeAnna, like, can you possibly even put into words how much winning the title would mean to you?
No, every time I try to, it's like
Yeah.
I
Right.
like, all right, words have failed me. I was never good with words anyways.
Yeah, who needs them?
Words were my thing. I always worked with my hands.
Yeah.
So I just it's so cliche, but it really just means everything to me. Everything that I've been working towards, years and years of like hard work and struggles, and sometimes it's good. The life of a fighter isn't always glamorous.
Yeah.
Like you see the people at the top and they're living these like really fancy lives, and like the average fighter doesn't that's not the average fighter right there. And I was at jiu-jitsu class yesterday morning, and Jonathan Webb, who's going to be in the corner for my fight, we got done with practice and he sat us down and was just talking to all of us and was just like, you're gonna it was jiu-jitsu, so he's like, sometimes you're gonna lose matches, and the fighters in here, sometimes you're gonna lose fights and sometimes you're gonna win fights, and what makes you who you are isn't necessarily what happens in the bad times. Like, it's how you work your way through that, and if you want to continue, and if this is something that you love doing and you're passionate in, like, your moments are more defined by what you do if you hit a hard spot compared to if when you're winning. Yeah, everything's great when you're on top.
Yeah.
Like, win, 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 win. Like, I went 8-0 in my first 8 pro fights, and then I lost one, and then I lost another, and then I lost 3 in a row. And one of the last one was like during, not the last one, but the one before that, it was during like the worst year of my life. Like, 2016 was the worst year of my life. It was such a big change for me. It was January of that year that I lost my first fight. It's the year my dad died. It's a lot of stuff happened in 2016, and people would talk about 2020 being bad. Man, 2016 was even worse for me. So I think about that, and it's like, I had plenty of people that were like, okay, well, are you going to quit? Like, maybe you shouldn't keep fighting. Like, you lost those fights. Like, oh, do you think you're ever going to come back from that? And like, now, 2023, I'm fighting for a world title for Bellator, one of the biggest promotions in the world, and doing something that I love. And so like, Jonathan yesterday wasn't saying it to me. He was just saying it because, he's been in the sport. He fought himself. He's been around, and he was just saying it to the class. But it's something that I took deep, because I've been in those moments where I've had people tell me to quit, and I've had, like, the thoughts myself, like, what am I doing? Like, and those thoughts always come like, what am I doing? And then the other voice in my head's just like, shut up. You're doing what you love to do.
Right.
And for some reason it's in like a country accent, and I call it Chuck. Okay. He's angry a lot. He doesn't believe in dinosaurs. He really loves dressing in big trucks. It's weird. We just let it be.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't even go on that.
It is what he is. Yeah.
It is what it is. So, but like, it's just, that's why I'm just so excited to be here at this point. And, like I've said it before, I attribute a lot of it to my dad. 'Cause like, I mention it all the time in other interviews and stuff. Like, the last word he said to me was fight. Because when he got sick, I had just gotten done with my second loss. So I had lost those 2 fights, and like, things were just like a little weird, and I was just kind of like in a really bad place. And, he was sick, and he was in the hospital, and the biggest tumor that he had in his brain sat right on his corpus callosum, which is like the where the right and left hemispheres
Yeah.
connect. And so when you have a tumor like that, like he could think about what he wanted to say, but he couldn't process it to be able to actually speak it.
Okay.
And so like he would try and talk, but he couldn't. And so he could do like one or two words and that's about it. And so he would just that he sat there and in the hospital, he'd be like, he'd point at me and he'd say, fight,
Wow.
fight. And it wasn't him saying like, when's your next fight? Like he wanted me to know and he wanted me to keep fighting just because he was my biggest fan, hands down. He knew I was going to be a fighter before I was. When I told him I was having my first fight, he's like, I told you so. And I was like, all right, you did, but we don't need to go into that. And so he knew that I would get far in this and he knew how much I loved it. And having that and like having my dad's last words ever say that to me means everything to me. He knew me better than I even knew myself. And so that's why, I keep going, even rough moments. Like it's the last things that he could say. And he used those to tell me to keep doing what I love to do. And so, yeah, of course I'm going to keep going. And just because you hit a rough point doesn't mean to stop. It means, maybe you have to make some changes. Maybe I have to do stuff and keep going. And I'm so glad I did because look where I am now. Like
Yeah.
I'm living out my dream and fighting for a world title in Hawaii. And I'm so happy for it.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And my goodness, trying to get me emotional here, Deanna. That's quite the story.
Yeah,
My goodness.
and then I sit here
Yeah, I
stroke
know.
my
Dr.
cat.
Evil mode.
Evil life. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah,
And
just
she's a likewise, so she's not quite as big, so
close enough.
she's patched with her fur, so
Yeah, yeah.
close enough.
But like all these experiences you've had, Deanna, like not just in fighting, which plenty of those, but in life too. Like I gotta wonder, like, what would you say? There's been a specific key to the success to your current stretch? Because obviously looking great, good enough to get a title shot and whatnot. But is there something you attribute this recent stretch to?
It's a lot of mindset and it's a lot of focus. And like I said, you see a lot of people who have been in the sport for a long time and they feel like they don't need to train. They have like this I'm good enough attitude. Like I've been doing this forever. I know exactly what I want to do. And it's you kind of have to humble yourself and take just kind of like a white belt mentality into things. Like, yeah, I may have been doing it this way, but there might be a different way to do something. And so learn, adapt, and you have to constantly be growing and you have to be willing to put in the work to do it. And every day I get up and I go to the gym and I have so many people that are just like, oh, all you ever do is train. All you ever do is the gym. And I'm like, yeah, if I want to be the best, then that's
Gotta.
what I have to do. And that's my life. Like I enjoy what I do every single day and I'm happy to do it. And so I put in the work because it's something that I love. And I think that's kind of the best. And then, making the right decisions that might not always be the easiest of decisions. Like my last gym that I was at, I never thought I would leave it, but I had to for the growth. Never in the world did I ever think I'd be on the East Coast, period.
Yeah.
And then finding myself out here, I knew that was a move that I needed to do. Because if I wanted to be a fighter, I had to make that decision. It was a lot easier. It was comfortable where I was at, but you have to put yourself out of your comfort zone to be able to grow and to get better. And so, sometimes you have to kind of sit down and take inventory and make the hard, uncomfortable decisions. And, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania was not my number one choice of places to move. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I not a fan of snow. I want sun. I am not a fan of my car getting broken into
That's
every
never
day.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, not fun. But does it happen in Pennsylvania? It sure
Yeah.
does. Like everyone when they're like, "All right, I'll see you later. Stay safe," and I was like, "We live in Philly. I try." Like I can't necessarily guarantee that, but I will do my best. But
Oh goodness.
it's just kind of you have to you have to just keep, you have to make hard decisions. You have to keep growing. You have to, if you want something, you have to find your way to work it out. And that's what I try and do. And every day, just try and get a little bit better, and just try and keep working and surround myself with good people. Which, like I said before, that's huge.
Yeah, well, clearly on the right track, Deanna. I mean, it's been quite a run, and I mentioned like these experiences you've had. So I wanted to ask, like, I was curious what you would say, having experienced two very unique kind of situations a fighter can go through, which is the Phoenix series and then the Ultimate Fighter. What would you say
Yes.
was tougher between those two?
Definitely the Phoenix series.
Okay.
Fighting three people in one
Yeah.
day. I was actually talking about that earlier today with somebody else, and I was like, that was something. But fighting in a tournament was, I have a fighting bucket list,
Hmm.
and fighting in the tournament was actually on the bucket list, and so I was like, okay, scratch that off. Never doing that again. If I ever got the opportunity to do a show like The Ultimate Fighter again, I loved that experience. Like, I would, it was obviously, it was rough, but
Yeah.
I would be 100%, I would hop to it and I would do it. But I don't think I would do a 1 day tournament again. Depends on how much they pay me, I guess.
Right.
But then I'm like, I think I'm all right.
Yeah.
So
Got that one out of the system.
I 100% got that. But my time on the Ultimate Fighter is something that I cherish. I loved it. You have a lot of people that are like, oh, this was miserable. I don't ever want to do that again. Oh, I want to go home. And it's like, I get to wake up every day. They bring me food. I live in a mansion. Basically, it's like the white collar like prison
Yeah.
experience, because I live in a mansion, but you can't ever leave. So I'm like, is this the Martha Stewart experience? It might be. Um, but I was like, I'm happy. They're like, oh, I miss my boyfriend. Oh, I miss my girlfriend, my husband. And I'm like, I miss my dog, but I'll see him when I get out of
Yeah.
here.
He's not
So
going
at least
anywhere. He's
there's
waiting
that.
for me.
Obviously, big animal person, exactly. And I was like, he'll be there when I get home. And I was happy when he would see him afterwards. But I'm like, if I had my dog the 6 weeks I was in Vegas, it would have been perfect.
Right.
But I loved every single second of it. And I'm, like I said, you just kind of have to have the right mindset for things. Like, people get so wrapped up in like the negativity
Hmm.
and the bad parts, that it's like you're not enjoying the good parts when they come, because you're so focused on the negativity. And it's like, listen, if you're a fighter, you could be working. I used to work at a call center. I sold security systems, and I made lots of money, and it was great. And I never had to worry financially, but it's like, I would rather be scraping by as a fighter than living that life, just
Hmm.
because it wasn't who I am, and it's not what I want to do. Any day, like, I would rather be living in a van than I would have like the big house that I was looking at buying there and doing that, because it's like, I enjoy my life and I enjoy the experiences, and that's what we're here for. So,
Yeah. Very important.
and then I have her,
Very important.
so like, unfortunately, I have to make money to feed her, because look at
Right.
this face.
Yeah. I
You
mean, just
can't
look
deny
at
it.
it.
Look at this little Lycoi face right here. Mama needs a new running wheel, because she's
Yeah.
getting a little chunky, because she eats
Spoiled.
everything and she's spoiled. Oh, hands down. But what are you gonna do? So
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Deanna. Well, I want to leave you with one last thing here. I mean, there's so many different things that I can talk to you about because your career has been so, fun to watch and fascinating from my perspective. But like, I don't know if a lot of people realize you have a very good win, especially in hindsight. In fight number two, you beat Julianna Pena in your second career fight, and a while ago. But I wanted to know like what you remember most about that, and it's aged pretty well, I would say.
I would say so. What's funny is that after that fight happened, you know, that was like her last fight before she went on the Ultimate Fighter.
Right.
I tried out for season 18 myself, but I only had 2 wins. And so they're like, oh, you don't have enough pro fights. And they didn't know who I was. And
Like,
they're
but I
like, well, if
beat
you would have
her.
yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? You took her. And then she won the show.
Right.
Yeah. Well, one of the producers, Gary, I still talk to him to this day. He's actually going to be in Hawaii for my
Oh,
fight.
nice.
That's like I said, Ultimate Fighter, great experience. But it was just being winning against her. After that fight, she would do a bunch of interviews and stuff since she was on the Ultimate Fighter. And there's one very distinct one that I remember. And they asked her if there was anybody that she could fight again, who would it be? And she's like, I would fight DeAnna Bennett because I know I would beat her. And I was like, well, you had the opportunity and you didn't. And it was actually, I was just coming back from a grade 3 tear in my MCL. So it was the worst conditioning that I've had for any fight because usually I run like every day. I didn't run the entire camp. I had to cut almost 18 pounds of water weight to make weight for that fight. She was actually almost 7 pounds overweight as well. And that's why she's like, oh, I had a bad weight cut. And I was like, I nearly died. My teammates were having to pick me up, put me in a sauna, pick me up and take me out. But I made weight and she didn't. And I'm like, I would have gladly have fought you at 135. Like I got what, 20 extra bucks because it was like my second pro fight. So it's like, it's not like I paid a lot to begin with. And so, but that's every single time I was like, I'd fight you again because it'd be even worse because then I would be fully prepared and I'd be that one. And so, yeah, she wasn't the nicest person. When we were at the tryouts for season 18, I would literally be sitting right next to her. And I was like, hey, Julianna, because I have no animosity towards people. And she'd be like this. I was like, oh, that's how we're going to do this.
Right.
Okay. I guess that's the thing. So I'll let you just be whoever you are. And it's like, all right, well, whatever. But yeah, I like that win.
It's a good one.
Definitely fight it again because I would definitely have the same result. And
All right. Yeah. I mean, crazier things have happened. Who knows what could happen in the future? But first order of business, obviously getting the title, DeAnna. So I wish you the best. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat. And going to be a great one. I hope you enjoyed just the overall trip. Getting to go to Hawaii, always a good time. So have fun with that.
Beautiful location.
Yeah. So. Yes. No doubt. So. All right. Well,
I'll do all my training on the Rocky style.
Yes.
So,
awesome.
I live in Philly, so I might as well do Rocky style, right?
There you go.
The way it works.
Connect it all together.
That's all together. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.